Hello and welcome to the first interview of our Age Perception Month campaign. And I'm really interested, looking forward to this discussion. I think it's a very interesting topic. It's very topical at the moment because I feel like each generation is really going through their own challenges at the moment. And there's lots of new things that are happening in society, whether that is the pace of technology, whether that is just how fast moving and changing everything is. And then also how things have changed from, 2 years ago to 5 years ago to 10 years ago to 20 years ago. Time just seems to be speeding up from my point of view, but that might be because I'm getting older and we say that time goes quicker as you're getting older. So that might just be my perception. But that's why I feel like this is a really important and interesting conversation to hear all viewpoints. And quite often I feel that we hear a lot from next generation talent, Gen Z talent, and Gen Z in general, because of what they're experiencing at the moment, and probably a lot of the challenges that they went through during the pandemic, because they were entering the professional working world. But I want to focus a little bit more on the more mature generation, because I don't think we have the opportunity to hear those voices as much. And I feel like we need to hear both voices equally to get a real understanding of how we can do a bit better for all generations within our society. So I'm very much looking forward to that. But in case you don't know who I am, my name is Gabby. I'm founder of Diversity Alliance and your host today. I'm wearing a kind of orangey, rust-coloured t-shirt. I've got my red lipstick on as usual. I've got brown skin, long dark hair. I've got my plant Chaz behind me and a very beige pill background. But enough from me. I'd love to introduce our first guest, Claire Derrick. Would you be happy to just tell us a little bit more about yourself, make a brief introduction?
Sure. Hi, Gabby. It's a real pleasure to be here today. So my name's Claire Derrick. I'm one of the founding directors and principal of the Event Academy. We're an event management training company, and we've trained literally thousands and thousands of event professionals who are out in the industry today, of all ages as well. And today I'm here in my office, in my home. I'm wearing a dark blue sort of short sleeve sweater. I have pink nail varnish on, which I love to have nice bright nails. I've got very fair skin and fair hair, which means I burn easily in the sun. And my background, which we'll probably touch on later, but it's very Japanese. It's a Japanese style. So I have a beautiful, very delicate plant, Japanese picture with a volcano in the background of the picture. And I also have a daring and mighty quote, which we might touch on again later. So that's me.
Love that. Thank you so much, Claire. And also, I should mention that I did my event management diploma at the Event Academy. I think it was back in 2016.
Wow.
And yeah, I know time has flown. And as you said, I remember the people on the course actually, and there was a diverse mix of people on the course. Obviously, there was not predominantly, but there was a lot of women on the course, because that's actually our industry, where it is predominantly female. I think it's nearly like 80%, which is like
Wow.
stats. Yeah. But I remember different ages, and obviously there were different genders and different ethnic backgrounds as well. And I'm now I get to lecture and DEI on the course as well, which is, it's really nice to be able to come back and share my knowledge with up and coming event professionals around making sure we're thinking about diversity, equity, inclusion and accessibility in their events. So thought I'd just add that in.
And if I can just say that, Gabby, as well, how beautiful is it that in 2016 I was teaching you, so I was imparting all of my learned knowledge and skill to you, but then a couple of weeks ago you came and did a lesson for my lecturers and me, and I learnt loads from you. And that's beauty, and that transcends age, doesn't it?
Exactly. Do you know what, mic drops? So we just wrap up and go now. we've just made our point. Kind of looking within the events industry, and just to ask you whether you think there's any specific or unique challenges that, let's start with young people actually, because you are an educator in that space, and I know that at the Event Academy, it's a wide variety of ages and people with different backgrounds, experiences that that do join and that do get their qualifications with you. But let's have a look maybe at the kind of younger generation, whether there's some specific challenges you think that they can do or might experience within the events industry.
I've heard comments sometimes by events professionals and by other professionals that there are some areas of the industry where it's a young person's game. I've heard that, festivals, it's a young person's game.
Oh, interesting.
Is it?
Yeah.
Question. I mean, I'm not going to answer that. It's a question. And I think there are other areas, maybe in the boardroom, maybe at C-suite level, maybe at project director level, where people go, oh no, they're too young for that. No. Again, going back to my experience. And I'm a firm believer in, if you are fit for the job, if you can do that job, it doesn't matter about your age.
Yeah.
If you have the experience, the knowledge and the skill to be able to complete a task, then you're the right person to do it. I really believe in that. But at the same time, I think that sometimes the younger generation are so eager to progress that, again, they don't enjoy where they're at. So that first job, enjoy it. Take some time over it, learn. Be the person who is at the bottom of the ladder, and it's okay not to know everything. And I think sometimes I hear my alumni who are maybe in their first job and they've been there for 3 months, they'll call me and go, I'm ready to move on. I question them and I say, have you learned everything there is to know? Wow. And of course, invariably the answer is no. And I'm like, okay, just relax into it for a little bit more and just take your time. So that's what I'm seeing with the kind of the younger generations. But
pressures, it is quite, I think there is pressure as well on them, which is maybe why they feel like they need to go full warp speed ahead. And it's kind of sad, like where's that pressure coming from? I mean, amongst their own peers, probably. Is it coming from us and from society? It's sad. But
yeah, I mean, we all had it, didn't we, when we were growing up? I remember finishing university and I was one of the last people to get a job. I decorated my house wall with rejection letters. In those days, you got a letter through the post. Boy, oh boy, was it depressing. But we made a joke of it, decorated our wall. I remember the first person, his name was Johnny, and John got the job that everybody wanted. And we were like, oh, God. And he set the pace. And we were all sort of striving to be like John and get that. Get the extra pay, get the company car, and yeah, we were all in a hurry.
And then what about from the perspective of more mature generation, older generation? What kind of unique or specific challenges do you think that they face within the events industry, and from a professional perspective working in it?
I'd like to hear other people's perspective on this, so I really hope that people comment on this. I think in the events industry, I think there is still that ageism of, you get to a certain age and I don't think that job's really for you. There's a lot of travel. Do you really think you can do that? Or have you got the energy to do that job? I hear that lots. And do I want to go back on site now and do 16-hour days on a regular basis? Probably not. Could I do it? Yeah, I've got the stamina, I've got the experience, but I choose not to because I know that it would tire me out and I've got other things that I want to achieve. So I do hear a lot sort of, maybe they're not up to the job.
Yeah, but also, who says that the way we're doing the job is right anyway? So who says we have to be as an individual on site for 16 hours a day? Why are we still necessarily doing that? I'm sure there are other ways around changing how we do jobs. And I think that's a little bit what kind of, and this is obviously speaking broadly, and again, I'd like to hear other people's experiences around this, is maybe where Gen Z are trying to shake things up a little bit, sort of say, do we need to really be doing it like that? Is there another way we can do it so we can look after our well-being and mental health and feel like we can give the best of ourselves to a job? Because I don't know if this is working for people and us right now. So why should we, when we get to any age, we should be able to do any job within reason, really. It shouldn't have to have anything to do with energy levels, I think, or we just need to adapt a bit more, adapt to people maybe looking after parents or who have children, or I'm sure there are definitely ways around it. I know there are companies looking at that and looking at flexibility a lot more, which is good. But I hear that a lot. And then I'm talking a lot with thank God, there's a lot more conversations around menopause in the workplace and menopause policy and workplace policies and how we're supporting many women and those identify, as non-binary as well, what their experiences are, perimenopause, menopause in the workplace, and what can we do to make it a better experience for them. Thank God we're having those conversations. But somebody really pointed out, they sort of said, we're missing out on this huge time with this generation where actually probably we're going to get quite a lot of loyalty, because they're not necessarily going to want to jump from job to job. So from this age, and probably maybe until they choose to retire, we're going to have somebody who's highly experienced and knowledgeable who wants to stay with our company. Whereas, currently young people who are in the professional environment, and, I'm not saying there's a problem with it, are jumping around and finding what fits with them and where their skill sets lie and what kind of like lights up their world and gets them excited. But then we have another generation who are like, actually, I'd quite like to really just knuckle down, stay with this company. And you've got a lot of loyalty there for the next 10 years potentially, and we're not making the most of that. And actually, on that note, I'm going to round this up, and a really nice way to end. And thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it, Claire. I really enjoyed this conversation. As you said, like, we're talking from our own experiences and maybe things that we've witnessed, but as you said, we need to hear from others as well. So anybody who wants to comment or pop me an email, comment on this post or whatever, please do. We want to get as many perspectives as possible. I think that's super important.
Brilliant. I'm reading a book at the moment, Gabby, which is really, I've not finished it. It's a book by Daniel Klein, and it's called Travels with Epicurus. And it's all about the aging process. So Daniel goes to a Greek island that is renowned for beautiful aging, and he wants to know why. And it's his journey to this island. So maybe we can put
yes, please.
It's really interesting so far. So
please share that with me, and any other because I think you mentioned a couple of books. Please share those with me, and I can add that to the link in the description as well. We do like to do a book recommendation. So.
Fantastic. Thanks, Gabby.
Thank you.